Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you talk about your granddad. Actually, you mentioned that he's like the sharpest dresser that you know, and he's got like a whole collection of vibrant shirts. And he,
He really has. He really
yeah, yeah,
has.
and he's passed his style on to you. I mean, does he still have these collection of amazing shirts?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, gosh, I have a lot of clothes, Jojo, but my
Yeah.
granddad could definitely surpass me. I mean, every time I've been to see him, he'll open the front door, and even if he's not really going anywhere that day, he'll just be in like a three-piece suit, or he'll have a really funky shirt on. He just loves style and fashion, and for him, there would be no reason whatsoever not to dress up. It's like, I'm like, where are you going today, Granddad? Oh, nowhere. Like, well, oh wow, you look great. It's like, yeah, thanks.
I
I do,
love
yeah.
that. I love that. Good. You said that he's passed your style on to you, hasn't he? Like those vibrant
Yeah.
colours, which I absolutely
Oh
love.
yeah. I love colors. I love patterns. I just love it. It brightens my day. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? And it's a thing. It's an extension of your personality, and definitely within certain programs that I work on, you have to kind of tone it down a bit. I can't go on Crime Watch wearing like a three-piece kind of floral jumpsuit type thing. But on
Yeah.
those opportunities where I can kind of bring my style within to what I do day to day in my job, it's great fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's so good. And going back to your mum, actually, didn't she help you to teach you to sew as well growing up?
She did, yeah. So
Yeah.
my mum's very creative as well. So she's just always been into arts and crafts. And actually, one of the first kids TV presenting gigs that I got was an art show. And I definitely think that comes from mum. I mean, when me and my brother were kids, she'd do all the curtains within the house, so she'd sew everything, and she just taught herself how to do it. She just got a sewing machine and thought, well, we haven't got a lot of money at the minute.
Yeah.
I'll do everything. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's actually growing up, I think, has given me the confidence, or at least the mindset to give things a go.
Yeah.
I remember when I got the opportunity to present on this kids TV show, an art show, when I first started presenting. And I went home to mum and I said, Mum, the producers have asked me to audition for this art show, but I can't draw. I've not studied art or anything. She was like, yes, you can. I was like, but I can't. She was like, you can. You've got to give it a go. If this is something that you really want to do, then you can spend your evenings like practicing how to do this. If you've got an interest in it and a real passion, you can do this. And that is how a lot of my opportunities have come about, through not having that mindset of, well, I don't normally necessarily do this. I haven't studied fully in this, therefore I don't think I should put myself in the ring. But, that kind of creative mindset from my mum has been like, well, teach yourself. I
Mhm.
got myself a sewing machine. I did all the curtains in the house, and I'm interested in it. And
Yeah.
if you've got that kind of impetus to want to learn. I mean, obviously not everyone is going to be good at everything. It's not like, I couldn't sew any curtains, for example, no way. But having that mindset of let's give it a try and see what happens has definitely come from my family.
Yeah, going back in time a little bit, actually, you grew up and went to school at was it Alderley Edge
Yes,
School,
yeah.
and in your last year became deputy head girl.
I did.
Yeah.
Good research.
Thank you. I love to do my research. I mean, well, how was your time at school? Did you really enjoy it growing up?
I did, yeah. I had an interesting time at school, I would say. I remember when I first did the entrance exam for the school. It was Mount Carmel at the time. And, I was lucky enough to get in. I had a conversation with the headmistress, as you used to have to do before going. And I had my hair in braids.
Hmm.
And I remember the headmistress saying, you can come to this school, but you'll have to you're not allowed to wear your hair in braids coming to this school. I remember even at an early age saying, well, what do you mean? She was like, well, you need to take your hair out and just have it straight. I was like, okay, well, for one, my hair isn't straight because it's
Hmm.
afro. And two, wearing your hair in braids as a black person especially is a part of your identity. It's a part of
Mm.
your culture. So from the very beginning and to be fair, after that conversation, and me as quite a young woman, well, a young
Mm.
girl, to be fair, having to explain that, the headmistress did accept it. She's no longer at the school at the time. But I remember thinking, Alderley, especially, is a lovely village, is a lovely town. It's predominantly, a white middle class area, as is the school. So for me, kind of growing up, I had some amazing times at that school and have friends still to this day. But it was an interesting time for me in terms of my identity as a young mixed race girl, because I never saw anybody else like me at the school, so it was an interesting time. I think when you're growing up anyway, becoming a young teenager, you're impressionable and you have insecurities about yourself and your identity. So there was a lot of that kind of going on. And going back to my granddad, I'd spend weekends going back to see him and to chat with him, almost feeling like connecting back with who I am and being confident in myself, and having that kind of connection to my grandfather. And going back to school, I think, really helped. So yeah, I did have a great time at school. As I said, I made some lovely friends, and my education that I got was second to none, hence why I was able to go to university. But on a kind of personal understanding, my own growth and my identity and culture, it was probably a mixed experience, I would say.
Yeah, because do you feel like that kind of affected you in a way growing up?
That's interesting, because sometimes I think you only realise on reflection, like what impact something has had on you, or if you compare it to somebody else's experience, you think, oh, that's actually how I felt, or that's completely different to how I felt. So in terms of affecting me, it's definitely something that I've thought of, and in the sense that if I was ever lucky enough to have kids, it's something that I'd be very mindful of in terms of all of our identities and how comfortable we feel and how confident we feel in our own skin. And making sure that we are able to embrace ourselves. I think growing up, that's something I always had issues with. I always felt quite insecure. And reflecting back, I think, well, maybe the connection to school and identity had something to do with that. It's when you kind of get to an adult and you're more comfortable in your own position, you think, okay, from a psychological point of view, maybe those are the dots that are kind of, you can join up. But I guess that, everybody's got their thing, haven't they? And being able to talk about it and understand it more is the key.